to another episode of Crypto Casual. This is episode 11, where it's Tuesday, July 20th, 2021. I am your host, Chuck, your esoteric coach or crypto esoteric coach. So here at Crypto Casual, we like to keep things casual and talk about cryptocurrencies, BTC, finances, and we're going to do it with a little esoteric twist. Right, for me, I perceive everything in energy, electricity. It's all the same to me. Chi, Ki, Prana. We talked about that on videos before. But for me, Bitcoin is just the new energy, if we call it the new human consciousness 2.0. So for me, Bitcoin is energy, which is sort of obvious because it's all ran by electricity anyway. But I look at it as human consciousness 2.0. Humans are increasing their consciousness, and those who are open to receiving the new, the faster way, then that's how we're going to download is a lot faster. We're going to understand things a lot clearer. Those who aren't open to this way they're just not going to get it. They'll be left behind. So the essence of this channel basically then is to just show you successful financial strategies, educational frameworks, and how to grow a simple and rich life and a rich mind. And we're going to do this by understanding the esoteric consciousness of cryptocurrencies, BTC, and you. Today's topic we're going to sort of address with the esoteric part is what is the soul of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies as well. But before we do that, basically we're just going to go over the format of the day as I do usual, and these videos take about 17 to 24 minutes. I will have timestamps later, but right now I'm still working on the editing process and all that. My editor's coming back in town soon, so until then, right now our simple format's esoteric question or topic of the day. As we said earlier, does Bitcoin have a soul? And what is the soul of Bitcoin? And then we'll get the behavioral framework of the day, sort of something to help us think, to increase our ability to understand this new consciousness that's coming through. And Bitcoin, again, is just sort of the first, for me, the fundamental manifestation of the new consciousness that we can play with and participate in and practice with. And then to help you all in the crypto world, I'm going to give you a crypto definition of the day. And then some news that's going on in the crypto world, crypto space. And I'm going to give a strategy. An example would be cost averaging. We'll get into that. So we'll get into some crypto prices, the top 3 picks of the day I like of cryptocurrencies, the influencer of the day, and finally the book of the day. But before we get to any of that stuff, please take a moment, like, subscribe, click on the notification bell. If you like this content and like to see more, just keep hitting those comments and likes. The algorithms like it when you comment. We look for nice comments. I don't care about haters. Y'all can go somewhere else. Appreciate it though. And again, I'm just a guy on the internet making videos. I'm not your financial advisor guru. I'm just sharing you what I've learned over the years of finances and the crypto space. I've been in it since about 2014. And the ultimate responsibility for your health, wealth, and love is yours. And do your own research. Deep dive. I don't deep dive on this channel. There's other great influencers out there that like to deep dive into the crypto world and the esoteric space, but we're just going to keep it simple and casual here. So, and I don't invest more than I'm willing to lose, and I think I don't invest more than you're willing to lose. We'll change that. I had it earlier as don't invest more, but it sort of sounded like advice, but I'm not here to give you advice. I'm just here to tell you what I do. All right, esoteric thought of the day. Bitcoin, does it have a soul? Let me take a few minutes here and break this down. In esoteric circles and religious circles, we sort of intermingle the word consciousness, spirit, Holy Ghost, divinity, soul, spirit. For me, I'm just going to break it down simply like this. The soul is a subdivision of spirit. So if we call spirit 220 volts, and then the soul is going to be 110. It's a division of that. It splits down or reduces down. It's a reductionism of spirit. And then the soul sort of splits down in traditional thinking as the soul splits down into human form. But I'm going to put a little twist on that today. I'm going to have you look at it differently. And this will help you understand how to perceive Bitcoin, not only from a financial standpoint, but understand it from an esoteric standpoint. And that esoteric is just eso meaning inner, and so it's sort of inner secrets. And we talked about that in one of the first and second videos. And if you want to look at those, I explain a little deeper into the esoteric side of things. And the esoteric is not really hidden, it's in plain sight, but most people just don't see it. It's sort of like the arrow on the FedEx truck. Most people don't see it, but as soon as they see it, hey, it's been there all along. So the esoteric is right here in front of us, but you have to ask the right questions. And we always want to question authority. We always want to question anything. Question me. Great. That's how we find the answers that we're looking for in life. So for me, the spirit is an electrical essence. It is for me, it is electricity. God is electricity, is the ultimate electricity. It creates energy, magnetism. It creates all attraction and repellation. It basically is an essence we can't touch. We can feel, some of us. And that's the presumption that we have a soul. We don't know. But for me, I'm going to give you a little esoteric perspective of it, is that the spirit is pure energy, and the spirit then created out of its electrons, protons, we'll call it. It basically created us, the Adamic, the atom, if you will, the clay shell, the vessel. And then it put its energy into that clay vessel. It put its essence into the shell itself, and then from that created a smoke, if you will, much like putting fuel on lumber, if you will. You can burn it on twigs, trees, whatever. And so with those two igniting together, it creates a smoke. What comes from the spirit and the flesh bag, if you will, is smoke. And so that smoke is the soul. The soul is the product of both the human flesh bag and the essential electricity. And so those two together create the soul, and the soul then becomes burning man. And so the burning man then becomes the manifestation, if you will. And that, to me, is the same explanation of Bitcoin. It's just an energy. It got some code that's in the ethers. Those came together, and what came and manifested out of that was BTC. And speaking with the reference of, and the aspect of consciousness 2.0. And I referred to this, I think, in the last video. If not, I'll refer to it again, that we are homo luminous. That's the essence we're moving into. Some can say transhumanism on the science side, but from, we'll call it a spiritual, electrical side, or electrical theology, as I call it, is my program, and soul mechanics. But the essence is that Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, that space it just generated, created with faster energy, which is hotter, creates more friction, and out of that friction came our new consciousness, which is now Burning Man 2.0, or BTC, the blockchain. It's just a faster processing way to take information and transfer it somewhere to another one. So like we have a thought, where did the thought come from? Well, we take that thought and we can manifest it by drawing a piece of artwork or creating music, right? So we can bring it from the supernatural into the natural world. So Bitcoin from 2.0 consciousness is now coming into our manifestation. And yes, we cannot touch it in the essence, as the same way I can't touch a video coming through my laptop or my TV. I can watch it, I can enjoy it, but I can't touch it. I can touch my TV, but I can't touch the streaming wavelengths of which the movie is traveling through. Does it make sense? So music, I can hear music. It's touching me through the audio nerves in my brain, or through my ears and registering with my brain. But am I really touching the music? No, it's wavelengths again, and the wavelength is a product of the electricity, which is the electromagnetic waves. We can get, again, I don't want to get too deep. Again, I can go 2 hours, 4 hours on each of one of these topics for now. So for me, Bitcoin has a soul. It is the essence or the product of the electricity and code and coming together. Now, hopefully that makes sense, that I didn't get you too far. We're trying to keep it casual. So to help us with understanding that framework is to understand the 4 levels of communication. And this has to do with behavioral therapies, if you will, cognitive behavioral therapies. And The best way to sort of understand Bitcoin or this new consciousness that you're experiencing, your body's going through a transitional period from going to old way. Everything in your old way of life, your physical, mental, spiritual aspects, if you will, are changing, and therefore the mechanical, chemical, and electrical processes of our brain and body is changing. And so to help you through this transition is one of the biggest things is understanding communication or communing with the ions or energy. That makes sense. So I'm briefly going to go over these 4 methods. And so the 4 methods, the first one is what I mean. So when I'm speaking, what is it I'm meaning to say? What's my purpose behind it? What's the intention behind that? The second one is what I say. So first words out of my mouth. And normally the first words out of most people's mouth are miscommunicated. Because 1, they don't understand everything. 2, they don't understand the essence of what the word means unless they studied the etymology and where it came from, if it was Arabic, Latin, Aramaic, we don't know. So if they haven't studied all that, most of the words are speaking out of their mouth is they don't necessarily understand what they're saying as well. They just hear the words and reuse them without really understanding the essence of the word. So a lot of times what we say and what we mean are also 2 different things. So what and how you hear someone else's communications is just a perceived reality, and that perceived reality is based off of your internal representation, meaning your own experiences of life. And so your experiences and your beliefs that we talked about in the last video, your beliefs are just ego a representative, an egoic representation of your internal representation based on your experiences. And so what we hear and how we hear is based off of what our ego is hearing, not what we're hearing in the moment. And so what you assume is mishearing and bias, and for most accounts, what you hear is based upon your bias or your framework that you've built from your past internal representations or experiences. Make sense? Hopefully that's not too confusing. And most of us, when we're having a conversation, and we're not listening to this other person, we're just ready with a retort, or we're ready to come back with 3 or 4 different things, and we're in our head, and so we're not really listening, so therefore we're going to misinterpret what they hear with their own biases. Yes? All right, so sort of a solution to helping you listen, and when you're learning things about a new consciousness, a new framework, a new Bitcoin, if you will, the best way to understand something new is to ask questions until you feel you get the essence of that answer, right? Which means, simply put, it needs to make sense to you. Once you understand something, you feel you understand it, put it into your own words. And we talked about that in the past video. Put things into your own words, explain it to somebody else, and hear yourself as you explain it and see if it makes sense to you. And the biggest way to resolve bias listening or communication is by fully and deep listening, which means no distraction. So that means when I'm listening to someone, my eyes are affixed to them. Not all the time. I'll go off because it makes people nervous if you keep staring at them. About every 4 or 5 seconds, I'll look away and come back. But I'm hearing. I'm hearing with both of these. There's nothing in my head. I'm not having a conversation in my head. I'm just listening to that person. I'm not looking at my watch. I'm not looking at the texting going on. I'm not distracted. I'm just listening. And when I listen, intently listen, I can, and then therefore intently ask questions back. And if I don't understand what they're saying, I'm going to keep asking more questions until I understand, and simply saying, hey, is this what you said, or is this what you mean? And if it is, great. Now we have an unbiased conversation, and therefore we can understand our material or conversation or people a lot better. So hopefully that made sense. All right, I know that may have been a little heavy for crypto casual, but again, I teach this stuff for a living, so for me to stick it in 14 minutes, my classes were normally 4 hours long or 2 hours long, just breaking this stuff down. But if you have any comments, definitely put them down, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. All right, definition of the day is AML, KYC. We hear that term a lot. And again, this is for beginners, those who've been in it a long time. We understand what this means. So the more and more crypto sites come up, the regulators of countries, and I'm here in the U.S., so they want anti-money laundering. They don't want you laundering Bitcoin or hiding money from the IRS or whatever. They want everything to be transparent. They aren't, but they want us to be transparent. And the KYC is know your customer or client, so which means they're going to want all your personal data. And if you go to a bank, you got to give your ID, social security number, all that. So online, yes, if you're using the blockchain, it's a lot more secure. But just know some sites, if you're comfortable with it, you're going to have to give up your personal information and data. And on the blockchain, these guys are a lot safer than traditional systems. So just know what that is, AML, KYC. Just know when you see that, you're going to have to put your personal data in there. All right, let's go with news of the day. Here's the big news coming out of Bitcoin Magazine. It was Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey, and Cathie Wood, which is a huge financial supporter of Tesla, to discuss Bitcoin and the B word. So Cathie Wood, if you haven't seen her, I should make her the influence of the day, but I have other people, but she's going to be one probably on my next video. She's just an awesome person if you ever listen to her speak. So strategy of the day. Fundamental analysis. I know that sounds a little heady for some, especially a lot of artsy people. They want financial independence, but yet they're sort of the starving artist mentality. Well, you're going to have to balance something out. If you want to sell something, then you're going to have to get out there and be your own salesperson, right? So we need to understand what it is we're doing, and that's a fundamental analysis. And here, how to buy Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is the best way. And so for me, when I pick a project that I like, I'm going to deep dive into it myself. And here's some superficial things that I deep dive into. Who's behind the project? I want to know who the programmers are, the financial backers. I want to know the consultants. So I deep dive on all that. And all you have to do is click and all the information's there. They're pretty transparent. Does a project for me serve a real world problem or purpose, right? If it's just a meme coin, I'm not going to invest in those. You can make money off of them, great, but unless it serves a real world purpose, I'm not going to invest in there. If it's something that's going to help people in Africa unbank, get them a phone in their hand and unbank or get them banked through cryptocurrencies, which the traditional systems cannot bank them. They don't want to bank them, and so the old system is permission. You need permission in the old banking system. So like El Salvador, 70% of those people are unbanked. They have no bank. And so with a phone and Bitcoin, that serves a real world purpose. So projects that I look into have to have a real world purpose and a working format already. So what do they make? What's their project? What are they doing? So that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the profit and loss. So that information's up already, great. Now if it's not, then I'm looking at their roadmap. A roadmap is that a good project is already laid out for the next year or two of what they're doing, what improvements they're doing. If they're not out yet, I want to know when they come out. And then you can sort of find out what their project is about by reading their white papers, yellow papers. There's all different colors, but it basically just lays out technical information about what this project's going to do. So those are some of the basic strategies that I look at when I buy a cryptocurrency. I want to know all this information before I even think about clicking or putting my hard-earned money into that project. So hopefully that helped you out a little bit. All right, prices of the day. Bitcoin is actually around 30,000. It's dropping below 30,000 as I'm speaking. It's around 29.6, I think. But the total market cap of Bitcoin is 1.3 billion. Of the total market cap, which is the total market cap is 1.3 billion, and of that 3 billion, Bitcoin has 44% of that, almost 50%. So if you just round it up, Bitcoin's half of 1.3. I think my math is off in my head, but right now, for now, just like Bitcoin dominance is at 44%. And the total market cap is 1.3 billion. The DeFi cap, or decentralized finance cap, is at 68 billion. And if you don't know what those are, we can break them down some other time, but you can find any of that information on CoinGecko or CoinMarketCap, which I will do a series on that to help you navigate those things. But for now, we're just keeping it casual and give you something to work with. My crypto picks of the day, Olympus. Today it's around 580, 586, I think it was, somewhere around there. It is a DeFi, part of the decentralized finance protocol, which will take over all traditional banking. And the bankers who don't know that, they'll be out. There'll be a blockbuster video. They're not going to be around, but those who adapt will be. I mean, basically, it's a financial tool just to help you grow your wealth. So staking, earning compound interest, stuff like that. Centrifuge is another good one. It's around 73 cents, and basically they unlock liquidity for real world assets. So basically, they help borrowing, lending, so you can use some of that money to go buy real world assets or bring those real world assets into the crypto space. Again, research, do your own deep dive. I'm just giving you what I like. Gala, Gala token is great. It's in gaming, and there's a lot of them. There's about 50 billion tokens, but in the gaming industry, that's not unheard of to have that many tokens. Because I like tokens with small maximum coins that are out there. I like things under a million or around a million or 10 million coins, and that's all there are because those will go up a lot faster. Anyway, Gala is a gaming token. They have multiple games. They have hundreds of thousands of users already on that. It's a working product. And it's cheap right now at 1 cent. It can easily go to 5 cents. So for me, I like that project. All right, influencer of the day, Jack Dorsey. Some of y'all know this guy from Twitter. He owns and started Twitter. He also bought the entire music library from Jay-Z. And Jack Dorsey plans on putting it on the NFT space, or the non-fungible token space, for selling or auctioning off, or however that you want to do it. But Jack Dorsey is also the guy who started Cash App in 2018, or at least brought Bitcoin onto the Cash App platform. So it made it easy for people that didn't want to understand all this in the depth. That they were, it was easy for them to buy Bitcoin in 2018. Anyone thought he was crazy? Well, he's doing pretty darn good now. So, all right. Book of the day, Street Smarts is the name of the book, and it's by Jim Rogers. And for those who are in the stock market, you know this guy. He was a big guy, Wall Street hedge fund guy that was brilliant. But he's also an adventurer, and a lot of his books just him travel around the world and talking about stuff. So it's really, he's pretty funny, but he's a smart dude, Oxford and Yale grad. But read his book, Street Smarts, and it'll help you out with the financial world. All right, that's it, guys. I know it went a little long today, but I appreciate you watching. Please comment. Please hit that like button because that gets the algorithms. We're trying to get to 1,000 people or 1,000 hours, however they want that. And by you clicking on there and watching the whole videos, that helps me out, and I really appreciate it. So remember, just to stay casual. All right, guys, I'm out. Thanks.